are live, Facebook. We're streaming to Facebook Live, and then this will be edited down for the podcast release later this week. You guys on YouTube will get to see the behind the scenes. Any questions, it will pop up here to my right. If you guys have questions for myself or my guest this week, Mr. Shawn Bevins, the owner-operator of the newest, hottest grill, Legion Grill Company. You there, Shawn?
I sure am, sir. I did not realize you were live. If you want, I can. Do you want me to? I can share this on my social media feed. This way, we'll get some more people in.
Sure, absolutely.
Yep. Do you want to give me just 1 second so I can go grab my phone real quick?
Absolutely. I'm gonna edit this this first part out anyway, so it's not a big not a big deal. And your comment will pop up at the bottom like this. We won't be trying what we tried last week, where I just read the question and tried to go back. Didn't work very well.
Okay, so do I have the link that I can share?
Yeah, you should be able to, or you can go on to the YouTube. Let me see if I can.
If I just share the StreamYard link that you sent, that'll work?
No, that won't work. Let me get into my YouTube.
Sorry, folks, for the technical thing.
That's the fun of doing it live. That's the fun of watching it live. Because sometimes we'll stray into different stuff, and so you get to hear stuff that you wouldn't.
And sometimes, Wes, you get to see Vanna White's breasts.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming that you're going to send me a link?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Is my camera still rolling?
Nope.
Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't mess my feed up there. Be right back in here in just a second. I just want to make sure it didn't kill my audio video.
You gotcha. You might hear the chickens in the background.
That is fine. You should have that link in your Facebook chat.
Yeah, let me do this. All right. Smoke Syndicate. Smoke Syndicate.
Smoke Ring Syndicate.
Yeah, Smoke Ring Syndicate. You're from Athens, Georgia. Where?
I'm in Central Georgia, just south of Atlanta.
Just south of Atlanta. From Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, technically we're in the metro.
Kind of Atlanta area.
Yeah, South Atlanta. Atlanta seems to be getting bigger every year.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time I was there. When was the last time I was there? 2000. I haven't been back there for a while, but I've been there. I've been to Atlanta lots. Okay. This. Paste. Sorry, folks. We're getting it figured out here. All right. And I didn't use my @everyone today, so I'm going to use that now. You only get one a day.
Yeah, well, and that is so it's so confrontational with so many people.
Well, if they don't like it, they can leave.
There you go.
Well, and it wouldn't. I don't know. It's like, hey, man, I get it. Facebook has to make money. I mean, I understand that business model.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to the point now where you got, on our Legion group, we've got maybe 40,000 followers.
Yeah.
And we get zero penetration. It's like the algorithms. If you're not paying, you're not being seen.
Yeah.
Which is tough for a small business,
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me do this. Let me show this on our main page. And then we'll be good to go here. There we go. Let's do this. All right. All right. I'll set. Wes, I apologize for that.
That is just fine. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to cut my intro now and we'll jump right into it.
Sounds good.
All right. What's up, guys? Wes, the People's Pitmaster, back again for another episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate. It's my weekly barbecue podcast that drops every Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last week, we flew out to Texas and chatted with Rob Aracha. This week, we're headed north, all the way north, into Canada. I've got Shawn Bevins. You may remember him from an episode last year. This year, we're new and improved, and with his newest grill company, Legion Grill Co. Are you there, Shawn?
I sure am.
Fantastic. So the Legion Grill Company is the newest and probably one of the fastest built companies that I may have ever seen in my entire life. You went from ground floor to just absolutely just crazy big. I saw you got a massive shipment of charcoal yesterday, 40,000 pounds worth. Just for my listeners that did not catch the first episode, we're going to go through your background just a little bit, and then we'll dive into the Legion and the Victus, the charcoal business, and everything else you got going on, man.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So run me through just kind of a highlights of your background, what got you into barbecue, and where folks may have seen you prior to with me this morning.
Absolutely. Well, I'm originally from down by Detroit, Michigan. Born and raised down there. I'm actually Canadian. I lived on the U.S. I lived on both sides of the border. I mean, I'm Windsor, Detroit area. Many years was almost like just one single city. Always been kind of more American than Canadian, I guess, only because of the proximity of Windsor, and Windsor's kind of like a micro, I don't know, a micro area, and Detroit's so imposing and big that it just kind of overflows on the other side of the border. So consider myself kind of like a Midwest guy. Yeah, my love affair with barbecue started out when I met a pitmaster on Belle Isle, which is basically an island in the middle of the Detroit River. For many years, it was kind of the outdoor cooking scene, the kind of the mecca for Detroit. Detroit, way back in the 50s and early 60s, a lot of people they immigrated from the South, from the southern United States up to Detroit. For the automobile industry, jobs, whatever. Very strong economy back in those days. And so with that came barbecue, Southern smoked barbecue. So I've been exposed to it for just about all my life. I mean, growing up, there really wasn't any other way to do barbecue other than live fire and charcoal or wood. Met a really colorful pitmaster when I was, 17 years old, and I just fell in love with it. He kind of taught me. He had this offset smoker that he had built. Actually, it was an offset smoker, but it was built at a 45-gallon drum, so it was relatively light.
Yeah.
And he kind of made a hitch that he would pull behind his bicycle, and he would wheel this thing onto Belle Isle every week. And his deal was that he would trade off. You'd bring meat or whatever, and he'd cook it up for you.
Yeah.
And in exchange, you'd either give him beer or you'd give him meat. Most of the time, he just drank beer. He was a pretty colorful dude. But he was able to kind of get me hooked on smoked barbecue. So yeah, at about the age of 17, and then I'm naturally being from the Windsor, Detroit area, I'm an audible. I grew up back in those days, metal stamping and plastic injection mold was real strong in and around the Detroit area, and so I was graduated from college and as a tool and die maker in the automobile industry. So my love affair with steels, always kind of been there since after high school and college. And yeah, I just grew up there and then came up here, and now I'm up in Drummondville, Quebec, of all places, which is kind of north of. I guess I'm about an hour. I'm about an hour north of kind of the Maine, New York border.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of up there, and I met my wife. This year will be 29 years. Came out here on a road trip, met my wife, fell in love, and went back down to Windsor and kind of quit my job and came north.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. And so after that, I mean, I worked for Bombardier, for folks that know Can-Am, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, snowmobile, skidoo, watercraft. I worked for them for better part of 10 years in research and development.
Yeah.
Kind of in a secret bunker working on, 5-year lineup, their vehicles and products. And then back in 2016, 17, I had an opportunity to start a barbecue company.
Yeah.
Which is Hammer Forge. A lot of people may know me for that. And so there I kind of developed the Beast unit, which was kind of like a bit of a disruptor. And it kind of got us known across the world, and
yeah,
was real fortunate with that. And unfortunately with that, with my brother-in-law, I started the company. And so we didn't share same kind of business values, core values, I guess, or the vision for Hammer Forge. And so After about 3 years, I think I sold my shares in Hammerforge.
Yeah.
And then I moved on to Hellraiser. We initially started the business as 3 partners. Eventually, we moved down to 2 partners, and then just massive growth. Like within the first year, we went from 0 to about almost 3 million in sales in like 9 months.
Yeah.
And so growth was really rapid, and the financing rounds were like extremely fast. Eventually, we signed a large distributor down in the U.S., and then a series of really kind of bad things happened. I had a large U.S. distributor go bankrupt on me for about $250,000, and then I had another Canadian distributor go bankrupt on me for another $30,000. And so for a small company that just, at that point we had just signed True Value down in the U.S. with, I don't know, about 6,000 retail doors.
Yeah.
And it was extremely hard on the business, on our cash flow, and we just fulfilled a large order. So, yeah, so that's kind of my claim to fame. We've sold barbecues across the world, as far away as, Australia, and we're pretty popular in the UK and France, and some units in Italy and Spain, all across Canada, and all the way out throughout the United States. So yeah, we're kind of a thing, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and it's crazy to think that you started 3 grill companies inside of what, 10 years, since 17.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's something. I'm not normal.
Yeah. There's I'm not. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on there. If it's the craziest work ethic ever, if you've got a horseshoe situation going on, a little bit of both. But I'd seen the Hammer Forge stuff, and I really got to understand and know you with the Hellraiser stuff. And I think we had your episode about right around the True Value, I think trade shows or something like that. I think right prior to it coming to the U.S. So then we had the drop off there, and out of the fire comes the Legion Grill Company.
Yep. Well, I mean, I guess first and foremost, I have this, and I guess I didn't choose the quickest way to get rich. Man, what a rodeo. Yeah, and I mean, my whole Hellraiser, is kind of a tragedy. It was probably, I kind of went through in my family, because my wife was involved, both my boys are involved. My son he managed the laser department, so all the cutting and program for the laser. My oldest son is lead engineer on design, so he does all of the design work and a lot of the programming for the machines. And, when you're a smaller business, people have to be versatile, and I had a great team. Over, just like any other small business, we had in the very beginning of Hellraiser, we had pretty serious, employee turnover rates, and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff was going on, and trying to find people, but eventually, actually pretty quick, we were real fortunate. Hellraiser, the public facing image of the company was, very fun. Who doesn't love barbecue? And so eventually people were actually attracted to us. And I the problem of trying to find, good people to build the units was actually pretty simple for us. And so I was very fortunate there, and we had a great team. Over that period of time, when we finally closed it down in December, I had a great team of people, and things were running smooth. And we had just, we just delivered, a huge order for True Value. We had a second huge order for them, but yeah, the bank got nervous. We were ready for a third round of financing. And we had these bankruptcies go on, and we ran out of cash to be able to fulfill the second big order of True Value.
Yeah.
And I was kind of forced to shut it down, and it was heartbreaking, man. it was hard, and you know, it was hard on my family, it was hard on my kids, it was hard on my friends and the employees. You know, I met them. It was probably one of the toughest things I ever did. You know, I had to meet with them on the 23rd of December, about 2 days before Christmas.
Holy cow!
And you're like, you're struggling with this. You know, you're not going to make it through December.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, what do we do? Do we let the employees, you know, go through the holidays? You know, they're going to spend money. Because they're thinking they're coming back from holidays from after Christmas, and you're going to have a job. You know.
Yeah.
And it was real tough, and I struggled with it, and ultimately, instead of waiting until after the holidays to tell them when they came back into the shop after Christmas break,
yeah,
I made the tough decision to meet them just before Christmas. I stood up in front of them, and you know, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do professionally, to send such great people home like that.
Yeah,
we cried together. You know, I took responsibility. I could have sent them letters. I could have just shut the doors. There's all kinds of things I could have done.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it done way worse, for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, and we were really. I had a really good culture there at Hellraiser, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm a pretty honorable guy, and shit happens, man. I mean, I can't. You know, when you're a small business and you've got, you know, rapid growth, that you went from, you know, 3 months prior, or not quite 3 years prior, to 0 dealers, up to like, what were we, like 7,200 doors in like not 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't, and it happened so fast. You know, it's like somebody asked Ernest Hemingway how he went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And it was like, he says, at first it was slowly and then suddenly, right? And so I didn't have time to, you know, bring in new partners. Like, there's a whole due diligence process that needs to occur. We had some big U.S. equity firms that were looking at us.
Yeah.
But you know, they're looking at EBITDA, and they're you know, we're still in the kind of the growth phase, and there's still investments that needed to be made. The middle class on both sides of the border, I'm sure you're well aware, last couple of years, man, the middle class is beaten up.
Yeah.
They're hurting. They're having a hard time filling their fridges. They're having a hard time paying their mortgages. It's kind of a real tough situation. So yeah, it was hard, man. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done professionally. And after the kind of dust settled, I'm sitting in my bathtub one night, and I'm thinking, man, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And something just, I don't know if I'm not a religious man. I'm not a spiritual. I'm, you know, I believe in God and all that kind of stuff. And I'm by no means, you know, religious. But I don't know. Just something said to me that, I guess, seeing people, you know, use our products to, certainly today with, you know, everything that's going on in the world, and you know, we literally build products that bring people together.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there in the bathtub, and I'm just exhausted, like, as you can imagine, right? I fought right till the end. Actually, yeah. when I shut down the operation, the emotion, the anger, just all of that kind of culmination of all the shit that I had been through, and fighting to keep Hellraiser alive.
Oh yeah.
When I put the key in the door, I actually went into the shop, and I let go the loudest, just war cry, man, that you could even imagine. Like, it all just kind of poured out. All that emotion just kind of poured out. And I was sitting there in the dark. The last time I put the key in the door, and I'm sitting there in my bathtub, and I'm thinking about all this, and I'm just like, this guy, a couple years prior, he calls me up, and he said, I don't do this very often. He says, this is kind of out of character for me. Mm-hmm. He says, but I got to tell you a story about, you know, I was going through, you know, counseling with my wife. We were getting ready to get divorced. My family was fractured. We didn't eat together. We didn't spend time together. It was like everybody kind of did their own thing. You know, we'd order pizza, and kind of everybody in the family was just kind of the family was broken, right?
Yeah.
Busy professional lives, just not spending time together as a family. And he said, I had this thought about, and at this point, he says, I was desperate to find a way to save my family.
Yeah.
And he said, I came up with the strangest idea, and it was live fire cooking, of all things, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
And he said that I came across your products, and he said, I purchased one, I brought it home, and I started to cook on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, the kids would go by and see the smoke and smell the food, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, what you got going on there?"
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, it brought the family back together. Man, they were eating together, they were sitting around the cooker together, they were sharing stories. Like it seems insignificant. It's just it's just a damn barbecue, right?
Yeah.
But stories like that, like, and he's like, "Man, we're it's like." On Saturday morning, or I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but he's like, I'm cooking, Saturday for dinner, we're eating together. And it's like, now we've kind of plugged in this time where we all just kind of spend time together and eat together and share a meal together. And he's like, it saved my marriage.
Yeah.
And okay, so that doesn't happen every day, albeit, but just people now with, all across the world, like, we're seeing people at, doing barbecue with our Hammer Forge units, with our Hellraiser units. They've got pictures of their family, their cookouts, their family gatherings, like the sharing of their food that they're cooking on this unit, and are these units that we've done over the years, because we've done thousands, right? I mean, it's not a couple hundred units. We're talking, probably across the world, both companies combined, we've got maybe 6,000-7,000 units out there. So it's a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And we've touched a lot of lives. And it's who was it? It was a famous chef that said that, about barbecue, that we could probably save the world if just everybody would get together and barbecue, right?
Yeah. So I think you're talking about the Anthony Bourdain quote.
Exactly.
It may not be the it may not solve world peace, but it's a start, or something to that effect.
Yeah. And so I think that, barbecue is, and live fire cooking in general, right? If we go back and throughout humanity to the very beginning, whatever notion you believe of the arrival of human beings on Earth, one thing is for sure, human beings for the better part of millions of years have gathered around fire. It meant safety, it meant security, it meant food, it meant mates, people to love, and it's synonymous with human nature. And so I'm not surprised that little thing, for me, is just another numbered unit,
Yeah.
But for him, man, it saved his marriage, and
Yes.
that's an incredibly touching story.
We have the opposite scrolling across the bottom there, from BJ Sims.
BJ's down in Georgia. He bought one of our. BJ's a good man. He's a good guy, and BJ bought one of our beast units. So yeah, sometimes when you spend considerable amounts of money on barbecue, sometimes that can put a strain on the marriage, but it's all good.
Yeah, I said, and just for the folks that are going to be listening to this, BJ says my stories with grills purchases and my wife are kind of the opposite. She says I have too many already. Well, it's part of barbecue. At any given time, I may have 2 grills outside. I may have 11, or somewhere in between. So it's man, I just, barbecue in general is just fun. So we'll get into the Legion Grill Company. You have the Legion Grill Company with the 3 units, correct? You've got the Argentine, you've got the reverse flow, and you have an offset, correct?
Correct. So so I eventually got out of that mindset, and I'm like, screw it, man. You only got one life to live, and I can't stop bringing people happiness. I'm addicted to it. I love seeing people smiling and gathering with the pictures they're sharing and the stories they tell. It's just, for me, man, it's like, and this is like, I'm going into 8 years of startup now. So I'm broke, right? Like I'm broke.
Yeah.
But man, that it's just, I can't stop. And so a couple of my suppliers, approached me, and I was approached by 25, 30 different companies that wanted to kind of fire Hellraiser back up, and they wanted to do all that. And I wasn't, and eventually I found these two partners. I felt real comfortable with them. I'd known them for a long time. They'd been one of my suppliers. And so we started Legion Grill Company, and I'm like, well, where do we find our place in the world? And for years and years and years, people have been on me to develop a pellet grill. And I'm sorry, folks, and not going to throw anybody under the bus about pellet smoking, and I understand it. I understand the convenience of it. I'm a wood and charcoal guy, and looking at the marketplace, and you're like, where's a place for a Canadian grill company, where there has been product developer? Like I've done the rodeo, man. It's like, it's like the country singer that's done the tour of the honky tonk bars, and at the end of the road, he's just like burnt out. It's like there's a country song out there. I don't know who. I think it was Alan Jackson when he's talking about the neon lights.
Yeah.
So yeah, so where do I go from here? And I'm looking at the market, and I'm looking at the middle class, and they're just hurting, man. And for us, I mean, right now there's just no way for me to market to the middle class. I mean, and it's tragic because I'm part of the middle class, and we can't. There's just nothing happening there. So, I looking at the marketplace. You got great companies like Kalamazoo Grill, with their gravity fed smoker cabinet way up on the like the extremely high end. And then you've got some of the more entry level products like, the master builds that are in the marketplace and really in the gravity fed world. And you got some great kind of smaller companies down in the US doing some kind of, I want to say non-automated kind of solutions to gravity fed, some super solid units that are out there, but there's really no kind of premium product that's kind of high end, but it isn't so high end that it's unattainable for kind of like the upper middle class.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been tinkering with some designs for a lot of years, and we had some gravity fed designs already. Like, it's not, I'm not just showing up to Legion and I got this design. Like, we've had the design for a while. We're just kind of looking for the opportunity to do it. And I was fortunate enough, over the years, I built some really solid relationships with my machine suppliers. And even though, despite, closing down, I was never late with my payments, I'm pretty proud that way. And so I was able to work out a deal with our machine suppliers, and we purchased back our machines, kind of the key elements to being able to produce the complexity of barbecues that we build.
Yeah.
And Darren and I, my son, we got to the drawing board in late December, and things just pulled together. And so we developed the Invictus. And the Invictus it's a unit we wanted to be able to give the opportunity to the customer to kind of customize it to their own kind of requirement. And so we offer the unit in a couple different configurations. We offer it as just a reverse flow offset smoker. We offer it with an add-on gravity fed accessory with a fireboard system. Excuse me. And then we offer it with an Argentine grill. So you can buy the unit as one very large unit. There's actually a bracket kit that you can, if you got a large outdoor kitchen, you want to be able to have the ability to kind of maneuver the unit as one very large unit. It's synonymous. The design is coherent. And so you can actually bolt the two units together, and it becomes one very large kind of outdoor cooking mecca, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of a train, like a train engine, like with the offset grills. And I just was kind of scrolling through Facebook, and I was like, "Is he building trains now?" And I had to click on it and go back through, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not a train at all. This is something really cool."
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. There's arguably some of the gravity fed units that are there, you can run, blocks through it. I don't know if anybody specifically designed one that you could run logs through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty humble when it comes to making claims. But to my knowledge, and maybe one of your listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the Invictus is the first gravity fed unit that you could feed straight logs. So you could feed a log through it that goes up to about 10 inches in diameter, maybe even a little bit bigger, 16 inches long, not a problem. It runs logs through that unit incredibly. It is, I know for a fact that it is the world's first gravity fed reverse flow offset smoker.
Yeah.
You could do both at the same time. You can gravity fed and traditional offset smoke with the unit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very unique. I'm a big fan of Fireboard. And so for me, naturally, and I got a great relationship with the folks at Fireboard. They're an excellent supplier. They were with me with Hellraiser. Again, I don't know if Ted's watching or if folks from Fireboard are there, but Ted's a great fella. And we got a great relationship. And so naturally, I continued on with that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so we love the Fireboard stuff, very robust. And so, yeah, we developed a gravity fed unit. And it works absolutely amazing. We developed something that's kind of really unique to the Invictus. As most of your listeners are pretty passionate smoke barbecue guys and stuff like that. They, grease management on any reverse flow smoker is always kind of a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
If the unit gets too dirty, the risk of fire is always kind of there. And so, because we've got the automation part of it with the fan being controlled by the Fireboard, we needed to figure out a way to kind of get the grease issue under control. And so what we did was we developed a duct that's almost like in a diamond shape.
Mm-hmm.
So when the grease actually goes and drips onto that kind of duct or tunnel, I guess it's like it's like a 4 foot, well, it's a 36-inch long sealed tube that runs the length of the unit. And it's got two vertical cutouts, so 90-degree cutouts that are 90 degrees with the top of the grill.
Uh-huh.
And so the grease, when it actually drips off and renders down off the unit, it drips onto this kind of like a roof, right? And it wicks away from the unit. We put a ball valve in there in the bottom of the unit. And so, yeah, the grease management issue is no longer an issue.
Awesome.
So you can basically run the unit pretty much unattended for so long as the gravity fed has fuel in there. And we wanted to kind of give the chance, as the market evolves, people are kind of more and more, they're requiring more personalized product experiences, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, people want individually serial numbered units. They want the ability to kind of accessorize and maybe pimp out their unit a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the premise for the Invictus. We wanted to be able to give them the ability to customize and stuff like that. So, that's kind of how the whole thing came about. And yeah, it kind of looks like a train. I guess when you look at it, it's pictures. I mean, there's lots of great photos of it out there. The unit pictures really don't do it justice. And the number 4 stainless steel, man, this unit is just like, wow, man, this thing is just out there, right?
Yeah. It's marine grade stainless, right?
No, it's not marine grade, but it is 304 stainless steel. So it's the real deal. It's non-magnetic stainless steel. It's not marine grade, but as far as barbecues go, 304 is in the upper echelons of
yeah. I say 304 is about as high as stainless steel grading goes. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into a 316 kind of marine grade stainless steel. The issue with that is that it's kind of adverse to carbon exposure. And it's really, up here in Canada right now, the just 304 stainless steel is somewhere about $5 a pound, my cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely expensive. And when you get into the 316s, you're up into like the $8-9. It would just be unaffordable, even for premium. It's in terms of performance, you're not going to get a better performance than 304.
Yeah, I say 304 is more than substantial for something to be super durable, and you're not going to have to worry. Not going to have to really worry about it.
No, absolutely not.
So, the Argentine uh, is it, you can do the Argentine by itself, you can do the reverse flow by itself, but can you do the gravity feed by itself, or is it going to have to be a gravity fed reverse flow?
So it's basically an accessory that we sell.
Okay, so it's two grills and an accessory, and then you can bolt everything together, and you can have like an 8 foot long grill. Looks like
106 inches long.
Okay,
It's a beast. It's a beast, man. It really is. Yeah, and what's great about it is the gravity fed is like literally takes like 30 seconds to put on.
Mm-hmm.
So the customer, if they start out with just the reverse flow smoker, and then later on down the road they want to add the gravity fed, they can do that. We can configure it right from the get go. They can buy the gravity fed with the reverse flow. Yeah, we wanted to give that kind of opportunity to folks to kind of customize to their own specific kind of requirements.
Okay. And you guys offer it in multiple colors, or
Correct.
is it just black and gray or black and silver?
Yeah, so it would be 304 number. It's actually a number 4. We call it in the kind of steel world a number 4 polished.
Uh-huh.
It's not like an electro. It's not electro coated or electro treated, so it's not like a mirror finish, but it is a polished finish, and polished number 4, and then black steel for the cart, and then we offer it in a blackout version, which is actually steel, so it considerably reduces the cost of the unit.
Yeah.
It actually, I believe it's almost it's considerable. The cost savings will be considerable when you go into that. And then we've had a lot of dealers. I guess it's gaining in popularity. It's kind of this rat rod look, kind of untreated hot roll steel, with the kind of natural patina. So yeah, we offer it in the natural patina. It's not Core 10, so it's not like a pre-rusted kind of finish. It's a natural hot roll patina, and so each unit would kind of age differently, right?
Yeah.
It'd be very unique, and so basically whatever oil you're going to use, a high smoke oil, an avocado oil, or a linseed oil, or coconut oil, or something that's got a high smoke point to it. If you season the unit with that, you're going to get this kind of rusty rat rod look to the unit. So yeah, a couple different configurations.
Yeah, I was trying to decide when you were going over them which one would I go with, and I was like, I think I'd go all black, and then you're going to the patina, the natural patina, and I'm like, ooh, maybe not, maybe that. It's gonna be a hard choice. And then how deep do you go with getting all three together, or do you go one at a time? I kind of feel like you got to go all in, right?
So far, man, the U.S. customers that have called me, man, they're guys down in Texas, so just amazing, right? Like, it's funny because a lot of people down in the South, in the United States, they look to Canada and they don't really realize that. And I say this with all humility, man. We do what we do, and we build what we build, but there's this kind of mindset because Canada is, we're 40 million people, right?
Yeah.
We're this massive country, probably almost double the size and land mass of the United States. We're a small marketplace, and so as a Canadian company going down south, you really gotta, for us to get noticed, and this has been kind of the thing since the beginning, is you've got to kind of really offer a product that first is just like shock and awe. That's just like wow. And then you got to build it so robust and with a quality that's generally not found.
Yeah.
Right. You have to kind of distinguish yourself in the marketplace. And so we got to fight hard when you're a small Canadian company, because Americans, where the big market is for us, I mean, that's where the big market is, right? It's the largest barbecue market in the planet. And so, you really got to kind of distinguish yourself with more, right? You got to offer the customer more. And so there's a lot of Americans down there that look up to the U.S. or up to Canada, and they know what Canadian products are all about, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of value there, a lot of value. And I'm not. This isn't to take anything away from Made in the USA, but we're very proud to be made in Canada, and I invite people to get to know Canadian products, right? Because they are really robust. So yeah, built like a tank.
Yeah, what I think about is, okay, the Canadian guys, they're building their grills. These grills have got to withstand the winter that you guys are staring down the barrel of here in the next couple of months.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going, well, it's got to be, it's got to be pretty hardcore because it's going to have to, at least last a couple of seasons, right? It's not going to be the Home Depot, $3.99 grill that, you buy it every summer, type cooker. So,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we are, we do get winter here, and it's so varied from place to place across Canada. You'll get places like you know Alberta, which is like for a lot of guys down in Texas know Alberta because there's a big there's a very close relationship between Texas and Alberta because of the gas and oil industry. They don't get a whole maybe further north they get quite a bit of snow, but they don't get a lot of snow, but they get wicked cold. I mean,
yeah,
brutal cold. Here in the east, it's really humid. We get tons of snow. Average year here we get where I live, we get on kind of a low year, we'll get maybe 2.5 feet, 3 feet of snow. On a high year, we'll get 8-9 feet of snow. You go just 45 minutes north, these guys are getting 8, 10, 12 feet of snow. It's brutal cold. And so units just don't last, man. Like
yeah,
it's hard, man. This climate is hard. And anybody that's passionate about barbecue, it's a 365-day a year endeavor.
yeah,
I mean, you're doing
absolutely.
it all year long. And so, you try and you go with a less quality unit and you're going to be you won't be able to cook in the wintertime. Like you're just
Yeah,
going to be fighting with the unit to keep it hot. So yeah, the units that we build, we want them to perform in these, kind of extreme temperatures.
yeah,
And it's extreme, man. I've been out here. You and I've been friends for a while, Wes. I'm sure you've seen some of my pictures. I'm out here in a blizzard, man.
yeah,
It's going 45 degrees sideways. It's
yeah,
blowing. It's howling. It's cold. It's snowy. And I don't want folks. I want folks to enjoy our products. I want them to be able to get a performance out of the unit, whether it's minus 30 outside and it's got 6 feet of snow. I want them to have an equally enjoyable barbecue experience as if it was 90 degrees in the sunshine out in the middle of the summertime.
yeah.
So we build the units to be able to perform throughout the seasons. Yeah, and we're pretty proud. Again, like I say, it's I for folks that don't, we really are, and it's really exceptional. And so I'm very very proud of that. And so any U.S. customers that are listening, don't be afraid to buy a Canadian made in Canada product, man. We built some great stuff up here. We're a smaller northern neighbor, but we really do the manufacturing up here. We do make really solid products. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I really wanted to bring you back on, before I go into the bringing you back on. Mr. Sims says, you were talking about wanting to branch out a little bit. BJ's got a suggestion, a smoke filled pheromone cologne, would be a great addition. I don't know if you want to get into the fragrance business or not.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, it might actually attract males. I'm not sure that I'd want to. I mean, I whatever. I'm fine with that whole thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But I'm not sure that it would have the effect. I think it would have the adverse effect.
Yeah. Well, you don't want somebody licking you, so maybe that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not finger licking good.
Yeah. So, um, so I just really wanted to kind of bring you back on and just kind of run through your background, just because people go and they get into the barbecue lifestyle and they get kicked one time and they're down and out. They're down for the count. You're 3 companies in and still full speed ahead. And I just really wanted to highlight the, I don't know if it's the gumption, it might be stupidity, if we're being honest, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, no. I know, man. I don't know. It's I feel like, I guess if I kind of go into a little bit of a, on the personal end of it, what would I, if I didn't persevere,
Yeah.
if I didn't fight through the pain, if I didn't fight through the tears, the desperation, the discouragement, the
Yeah.
heartbreak, if I didn't do those things, what message really would I be giving my sons?
Yeah.
Oh, because shit gets hard, man, you can go ahead and give up. And it's like I I I would be doing them a really big disservice, because life's tough, man.
Yeah.
Life it's a fight, and it's not easy, and it's not easy for anybody. And you're gonna be met with adversity. You're gonna be met with failure. You're gonna win. You're gonna have some victories. You're gonna have some joy and some some you're gonna have that in your life. But um you're also gonna have chaos, man. You're gonna
Yeah.
have disappointment. You're gonna have heartbreak. You're gonna have all these things happen to you in your life. And so I I guess my love of barbecue people and bringing people together, man, I had a heart attack.
Yeah. I
I
say,
had
yeah,
a I
we
had a
forgot to
massive heart
even,
attack. Yeah, I had a
yeah.
massive heart attack on the 23rd of July. And my doctor's like, man, you got to stop. You got to give it up. You just got to take a couple of months off and lay on your back and just kind of try and heal up.
Yeah.
And we're all going to die, man. I
We're
have
all going to die.
I mean, we have no control. I think we all have kind of a pre-prescribed destiny,
Yeah.
um, of our lives, and the road that we take, and the road that we travel, and the people that we travel with. And at the end of it, man, I you really don't have much control over that destiny, right? You can put all the good things in place. You can be honest. You can go to church every Sunday. You can do all the right things. You can be generous, and and volunteer, and be a good person, and be a good man, and be a good father to your kids, and grandfather, and all that stuff. And you travel that road, but really at the end of it, you're I guess you really don't have much control over the end of it, of the end
Yeah.
of the times, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so all we can do is our best, man. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
And try and be good people, and try and bring people, I guess, joy and happiness to their lives the best we can. And that's what I do, man. And that's what I can't. I'm getting a bit of emotional, I guess, but
Yeah.
I can't stop, man. That's my calling. It's just
Yeah.
like, and I can't give up. I can't
Yeah.
give up on that.
Absolutely.
I just
Absolutely.
it's
Um,
call it stupidity, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I am stupid.
yeah. I was, that was purely
Oh no, and it's fine. I mean,
comic feelings, but I just, to me, it was super inspiring to see. Yes, I learned about you on company number 2, and I'm like, man, he's really, he went for it. And then here we are, company number 3, and it's you're building, you're building, you're building. It's getting better each time. And I wanted to highlight the barbecue lifestyle that you live, and just the perseverance, and going towards the American dream, or Canadian dream. I don't know what you guys say up there,
shared
but
shared 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 dream.
the shared dream. There you go. But just because it didn't work the first time doesn't mean you got to stop, right?
No, I met a guy. I used to work in the long before I started barbecue companies. I used to work for a military firearms manufacturer, and so I spent a lot of time down in the U.S. and military contracting and things like that. And I met a Navy SEAL. That Are you still with me, Wes?
Yes, I am.
Oh, your camera just went off. Um, I met a Navy SEAL that him and I became very, very close friends. Really good guy. And he told me one time we were just talking about life in general. We were actually pheasant hunting in South Dakota, and we were out there, and we were waiting for the dogs to get into it, and waiting for the birds to flush. And him and I were just talking about life.
Yeah.
And he said, and I said to him, because he had, and I'll never share a story because it was shared in confidence, but he went through hell, man.
Yeah.
And I'm in terms of that, compared to me, like I was nothing. It was a cakewalk. What I've been through is a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, I said, how did you, when you're in those dark moments, I kid you not, man, I was drinking, like after Hellraiser, I couldn't shut my head off. I was heartbroken. I was deflated, man. I was beat down. I was on my knees. I was exhausted, man, from fighting. Cause I literally, I held on, man, till the doors flew off and the wheels came off. Like I fought right to the bitter end. And I'm tired. And I said to him, so how did you, like, in these dark moments when, like, you're just surrounded by despair and you're just like, you can't see a way through. And he's like, man, fighting solves everything.
Yeah.
And he was right, man. And you can choose, I guess, consciously to, let yourself slip down that dark path of, beer and whiskey. You can let yourself slip down a whole panoply of vices of just trying to, kill the pain of all that. Or you can just dig real deep and say, man, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let this shit destroy me. And I'm going to keep on fighting because it's the only way to get through it. And I just sucked it up.
Yeah.
I set my ego aside because, it was a major lesson, a life lesson in humility, man.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
It was one heck of a throat punch.
Yeah.
And there's just no question that I stopped.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm making the same salary today that I was making more 15 years ago than I'm making today. And but that's, for me, man, it's just not it. It's, I mean, for sure, like you someday I want to own a big acreage farm, and like I have dreams, because if you stop dreaming, then it just all ends, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, fighting solves everything, and that just those 3 words, man, to me just resonated in my life, in my story. I grew up real poor. There was a lot of abuse in my house, alcoholism. I fought through my childhood. I went through a reformatory. Life has been a fight forever, since almost day one of my life. And I don't know any other way, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know any other way. So here I am, still fighting, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You were down, but not out. And you really have to think about the timeline, because, the end of one in December, and then December the next year, you're back up and producing, and folks may not even know that you've got the grill company, and then you're also selling charcoal too to power your own units. We'll touch on the charcoal just for a second, and then we'll kind of wrap it up for this episode. Thanks everybody for sticking around. But you literally just took delivery of a little over 40,000 pounds of charcoal. You may be crazy. What made you go and source your own charcoal too?
Well, I mean, it stemmed from, in the Canadian marketplace, certainly in Eastern Canada, we're very large, as you're well aware. We are probably the world's largest forest product producer. We have massive forests that are literally, endless. And so, but there's, and here in the East, similar to both sides of the border. We have a lot of maple wood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of charcoals here that are made in Canada, but there's not a lot of kind of traditional Southern barbecue type woods, right? Like post oaks.
Yeah.
White oak up here is very, very rare. They've all basically been chopped down and used years ago. So there's really no a lot of white oak up here. There's no mesquite. And so yeah, I wanted to bring kind of that real Southern barbecue taste to the Canadian marketplace. And I've got some great relationships down in Mexico, and they do it the old-fashioned way, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the charcoal companies are owned now by Duraflame. We all kind of know that. It's kind of an industry kind of thing.
Yeah.
They own most of the commercial charcoal brands that are in the marketplace. They've kind of strayed away from the old-fashioned way of doing charcoal. We still do it the old-fashioned way in mud huts. They put the logs in. They steel the doors with mortar and with mud. It's really done the old-fashioned way, and the result of the charcoal is just absolutely phenomenal. You can see the machete marks on the wood. You can still see some bark sometimes on the wood, and it's super hard coal. So it's a kind of a product that really distinguishes itself. It's kind of unique in the Canadian marketplace.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was natural. And we have not in the United States, which is sad because, the charcoal thing down there is pretty aggressive, but we make a premium product. And when I say premium, and I won't mention any names, but it's up on the upper echelons of the highest end of charcoal that you would find in the U.S. market with some of the large brands that are there that are very well known.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say we're the best charcoal because I could not make that claim. I haven't tried every charcoal in the market, but we are a damn fine charcoal.
Yeah.
And it's hot. It burns a long time. And the smell it gives, like that mesquite post oak kind of mix.
Yeah.
It gives that real, that real traditional Texas barbecue flavor to the meat.
Yeah.
And so it's a great, great product, and it's a great value. I mean, we retail it up here for $34.99 Canadian. Right now, that's probably about $10 in US dollars. I don't know what that's in US dollars. Probably be around 24, maybe. I don't know, $25. Let's say, I don't know, but it's less expensive in terms of a comparable premium, hard, heavy premium charcoal. So yeah, and we have a following up here in Canada for the charcoal. So yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of a no-brainer. You had done that before as well. So
Yes,
just
sir.
bringing that back was definitely, just getting back where you were. So, man, I appreciate you hanging out with me again. This one was a little bit different because we actually had audio and video. I think the first time we did this, it was just audio only. So be able to see each other and kind of interact, and then with live streaming to Facebook was a little bit different and was fun.
Well, I appreciate it. Man, Wes, it's funny because you're a small podcast. It's kind of made its way up, and you're growing, and you're adding listeners, and I'm kind of watching you grow. And I got to give you kudos, man, because I appreciate the support. I really do. It's just I think for you to spot a Canadian company out of the middle of nowhere really shows to your kind of due diligence for your listeners.
Yeah.
And I think that you've earned your spot, and I would hope that you get thousands of listeners, man, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of listeners, because you deserve it. You really do.
I appreciate it,
and I appreciate you supporting us, man.
Absolutely, man. I've got two grill companies up north of the border. I'm not going to muddy your episode, and we'll edit this out for the podcast, obviously. But I don't know. You guys y'all built different or something. I'm not sure.
I appreciate that.
So hit me with the name of the company one more time, the name of the grill, and we'll sign it off.
Legion Grill Company. The unit's called the Legion Invictus. Our contact info, if you want more information, is info@legiongrill.com. Website is legiongrill.com. That's it, man. Contact us, reach out, join our Facebook. We've got a closed Facebook group. We're all over LinkedIn, everywhere. So find us, hook up with us, send me a message. You guys want to talk about barbecue, give me a call. My telephone numbers out there for everybody. So yeah, contact us, reach out and check out our products.
Absolutely. Great, man. Fun episode. And, we've went from audio only to audio video. Maybe next time we're in person.
Maybe. I hope so.
All right, man. Take care. And thanks everybody for watching. And we'll catch y'all next time. And that'll put this week's episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate in the books. Shout out to our guest this week, Canadian Shawn Bevins, owner-operator of Legion Grill Company. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate a review, a share, a like. If you find someone that would find value in our content, please share us with us. And as always, keep smoking. All right, man. I'll see you next time.